So first of all, I mentioned Cam was in my class. Here's the thing about Cam, and you're going to see this as soon as he jumps in. Cam is he's like one of those Mark Zuckerberg types that's basically creating something, out of college. He took an idea. We talk a lot about networking in my personal finance class. Cam took it to the next level. So for a couple things about Cam, I'll introduce him. He won't say this, but I can. One, he is an extrovert with a capital E, and he is not shy. And so he took those natural onboard skills and solved a problem, which is nobody's really networking properly today. Cam, because of his onboard abilities, is networking and networks very well in terms of networking, in terms of a professional network. But what he found and what we see, I see it all the time in the universities, 95 to 99% of university students see networking as a chore. They see it as something they want to avoid as long as possible. And they wait about 3 weeks before they need a job, before they start networking. They treat networking as a transaction, not as a relationship. That's what Pipeline is changing. Okay. And usually the first question that I get asked is, well, isn't this just LinkedIn? And the answer is a resounding absolutely not. This might be what LinkedIn had in mind at some point, but LinkedIn is a big box, big data social media organization, no different than Instagram and TikTok. It just so happens they have a business vibe. They have completely changed. But the bottom line today with AI, there's a couple things going on with AI that's really important. One is that AI is smashing entry-level jobs. There's no doubt about it. That is the truth. If your job is to move data from spreadsheet A to spreadsheet B for $20 a month, AI's got that covered. Those jobs are just disappearing. And sadly, a lot of entry-level jobs are kind of about that or something similar. So that's a big problem, a big challenge. But the other challenge is the traditional front door, which is a combination of LinkedIn and Handshake. And Handshake is a college kind of a process tool that helps students upload their resume and connect with jobs. Those are it's a bizarre situation. So this is the way it's going with Handshake right now, or with LinkedIn in general. The students use AI to create their resume and their cover letter, right? And they upload that. And then because all these resumes have exploded, right? All these job placements through the front door of Handshake and LinkedIn have exploded. Well, guess what the companies have done? They're using AI to screen it all. So basically today we've got my AI needs to talk to your AI situation, and it ain't working. Jobs through the front door are plummeting. More and more jobs happen through relationships. They do not happen through this whole AI weirdness of what's going on. So, and then you've got the other side of it from a college standpoint. Parents are kind of really questioning what the value of college is. But if they are paying, right, which I think honestly nowadays that's not as obvious as it used to be. But if they are paying, the number one question that a parent asks, what job is going to be there for my child when they graduate? That's it, right? And parents are very worried about that. And that's what all the data says. Okay. So the missing link here is authentic networking. There's a study that actually just came out last month in late May, that AI screening tools lock out qualified talent through repetitive, arbitrary, and biased filtering. And that was done by Stanford University. They did a massive study on these kind of what we call front door processes. They're not working. And in fact, they are showing tremendous amounts of bias and a lot of other challenges. So anyway, that's the focus. So when we work with universities, we focus on a couple things. The ROI promise. If a university can't offer ROI, meaning when you graduate from this university, there's a job waiting for you or a job waiting for you soon, then it's a problem. We've got less and less students coming to university now. They are fighting over students, and their number one focus is promise of college ROI. We talked about AI, shifting what employers want, and then thinking about alumni networks, right? What's the value of college? Well, how do you connect college students to the university alumni? That's another challenge and another opportunity that we're going to talk about. Okay, so a couple things before I turn it over to Cam. One of the ways that we are marketing this is through a series of boot camps. We have a boot camp starting this August 18th and 19th in Springfield, Virginia. We are targeting metropolitan areas where residential college students and their parents tend to live when the residential college students are not in session. So in the state of Virginia, whether you're going to Virginia Tech, UVA, James Madison, William and Mary, guess where everybody goes in the summer? Northern Virginia. That's just like the place where probably 80% of the state of Virginia residents actually live when they're not on campus. So instead of targeting the campus, we are targeting where they live with their parents, because our approach idea is that worried parents are the place to target, not necessarily the students. And we'll talk about why that is in a second. Okay, so that's our focus. The ask for y'all, there's really three big asks after Cam goes through the solution. In general, what do you think of it, right? The capabilities, how it operates. Do you think there's a competitive moat, right? Well, I think there could be, maybe, but those are things we're thinking about, is how to widen that moat. Organizational sales focus. We are focused on this as a B2B to C, meaning focusing on the organizations where the students are, not necessarily as a D2C or direct-to-consumer sales channel. But we'd love to know what you think of that approach. And then finally, our approach in universities right now is to work through the student clubs as a way to validate before going to the university's student services themselves. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So that's one of our questions around what do you think of pipeline. Then there's a question of who do you know from an organizational focus. For example, I was talking with Eric Warden a little bit earlier, and Eric works with an organization that helps students that didn't go to college, but it helps them get their first job. Well, gee, wouldn't it be nice for them to be able to offer a program that helps those students get that first job, which of course, that's what they're all about. They're already helping them some, but could pipeline be part of that? Again, the idea is thinking about organizations that support students or support people in their quest to get that next job or their first job. And then finally, the boot camp. We need volunteers engagement. So if you know anybody in your professional network that would be interested in participating, I'm especially thinking of recruiting types, like, organizations that tend to recruit college students. They may be very interested in being part of this. But anyway, so that's the other ask. Would you know anybody in your network that could help or would be interested in learning more about the boot camp? All right, so let me go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Cam. If you would, Cam, you can go ahead and present your screen to show the the capability itself. And Cam, if you would just kind of kick off with a little bit of introduction about yourself, and then please share.
Yeah, so we have high expectations, Cam. I mean, you're now sort of put in the same plane as Mark Zuckerberg. So, okay, go for it.
Wait, is that a high bar or a low bar?
That definitely could go both ways.
Bar do you want
that could go both ways. Whatever you want to
there's a couple cuts there.
Yeah, I don't know if the Mark Zuckerberg is really, but it's all good.